Hi, my name is Katie Broker. I am the operations manager for the Reno County Museum, and today I am filming from inside the set of our new program, Historic Voices. So what is Historic Voices? Historic Voices is a new program at the museum that we started to give you a voice in the preservation of Reno County history. We created this space where you can come sit down and tell your stories from your own eyes and your experiences. We did this as a way to honor our community and continue to bring the community together through the 150th anniversary celebration and beyond that. This program was made possible by the Hutchinson Community Foundation through the Changemakers at Work grant. We were able to purchase the necessary supplies and equipment to make this program possible with the use of that grant. And of course, we are grateful and thankful to the Community Foundation for their support of this project. If you have a story you would like to share, a historic moment from your own life, you can do so by getting in contact with us and scheduling a time to sit down and have an interview. You can do that by visiting our website, renocomuseum.org. That is renocomuseum.org. Give us a call at 620-662-1184. Or of course, you can visit us in person and talk with our staff and ask us any questions you might have. And while you're here, make sure to visit our exhibits. We've got some great exhibits on display, and I'm sure you could learn something new about Reno County every day. Following this video, we have a couple of documentaries we have already made as part of the Historic Voices program. We have a short video about Pat Mitchell, a local artist and historian who was an advocate for the preservation of historic buildings in Hutchinson. We also have a short video with information about Solomon Butler. He was the first Black Kansan to participate in the U.S. Olympics, and he was from Reno County. And his story is just incredible. If you want to watch these videos again later, you can find them online at the Reno CO Museum YouTube channel, on our website, and on our Facebook page. We hope you're having a fantastic time at the Kansas State Fair, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.
How long have you been collecting the history of Hutchinson?
Oh, basically since about 1980.
About 1980.
But with a great deal of enthusiasm.
Pat Mitchell was born in 1943 in Holyrood, Kansas. At the age of 16, her family moved to Hutchinson. Pat had an artistic streak that few people could match. She could sing, paint, carve, and sculpt. Pat was also a prolific writer who had a passion for history and historic preservation. By 1980, she began to make her mark on Hutchinson history. Her drawings and paintings were exhibited at the Hutchinson Art Center. The following year, she received an honorable mention for her submission of rhymed verse. Pat also had articles published in the Hutch News and had regular submissions to Can Mystique magazine. She was an expert at bone carving, known as scrimshaw, and she began to teach scrimshaw classes at the Hutchinson Recreation Leisure Arts Center. During this time, her sculpture was exhibited at the public library. In 1982, she published The Fair City, a book of postcards that showcased Hutchinson's history. The first volume contained 183 postcard images with background information on each one. These images covered Hutchinson history from its earliest days up until the 1980s. The feedback on the first edition was extremely positive and quickly sold out, which led her to publish a second volume of an additional 367 images the following year. Pat's interest in history led her to launch a historic walking tour of downtown Hutchinson. The Reno County Museum's current walking tour borrows details and locations from these early tours. In 1985, she began a collaboration with Linda Laird and Associates to help form an historical survey of Hutchinson. Through this work, Pat and Linda photographed and researched hundreds of buildings throughout Hutchinson. Their background work on the history of these buildings helped pave the way for the creation of the Hutchinson Downtown Historic District. Pat was a fervent supporter of saving historic places. She was on a committee to help save the Fox Theater just prior to its closing. She wrote editorials to save not only the theater, but also lamenting the loss of other buildings such as the Basante Hotel. In 1987, Pat started a radio program called Historically Speaking that ran for 39 weeks. During her 30-minute shows, Pat would talk about tidbits of Hutchinson history. Often, Pat would pose questions to the audience to gather further information about various aspects of history. She would have people call in to give their first-hand accounts related to the history that she was discussing. Other times, people would call in and ask questions, and Pat would do research and then answer the questions the following week. The City Center Committee held a contest in 1987 to commemorate a historic location in Hutchinson. The first location chosen was the Basante. In the 20 years since its demolition, it had become a symbol for historic preservation. A winner was chosen from 20 entries to have their art placed on a 6x6 ceramic tile that would then be sold at various businesses around town to fund other downtown projects. Pat was the winner. Pat tried to garner support to save the Walcott building. She wrote a letter to the editor, she wrote a letter to the owner of the building, all in a plea to save the building and emphasize its historical significance. Ultimately, her pleas would go unanswered and the building was demolished. Pat could see the value in these old buildings. Her thoughts were, if you lose your history, you lose yourself. Pat would also find herself pursuing a campaign to save the Fox Theater. And while the Fox Theater did close for a time, ultimately, her passion emboldened the community and the theater is still here. In 1994, Pat was appointed to the Landmarks Commission. Its primary mission is to preserve and safeguard historic buildings and to encourage the study of history, culture, and architectural design. Pat had extensive knowledge of many of the buildings in the city and was well equipped to serve a vital role in the community. Pat died in 2001 at the age of 58. Her legacy continues to live on at the Reno County Museum. During her life, she acquired a massive collection. She collected virtually every type of paper document, from photographs to business cards and yearbooks to letterhead. Pat also saved glassware, art, and buttons. The total number of items has not yet been tallied, but so far she had an excess of 30,000 separate items. Over the years, some of them have been exhibited in the museum. Pat herself donated her artwork throughout her life, starting in the late 1980s. Over the next 18 months, the museum will begin making her entire collection available for online viewing. Pat's mission was to make people passionate about history and preserving history. The Reno County Museum is greatly enriched by her work. Not only will local residents benefit from her, but anyone interested in Kansas history.
I walk down the street, look at me, their inquiring eyes ask me where you can be. I tell them